Okay, we got done seeing the new Marine film, the Marine 4 Moving Target. And this is the only Marine film that's actually a direct sequel to any of the other ones, actually continues.
That has the same main character.
Yeah.
As the last one.
The Miz has come back as the lead.
And he's actually the same guy, too.
Yeah, he's playing the same character. And they also had Summer Rae, WWE Diva, have a supporting role in this. That's one thing to point out right now if you're curious. You know, she's top billed on the poster along with The Miz. Summer Rae is a side character.
She was.
She has
3 lines.
She has very little screen time. With that said, I thought she was fine.
Yeah.
She was an antagonist. I thought she was fine. But yeah, make no mistake, she's not like the second lead in this.
She's not like the main villain or anything.
Yeah.
Which is what I thought she was.
Yeah, that's what I thought going into it too. But, you know, talking about Marine 4, we hadn't seen the previous one, so we decided we checked out the Marine 3. And you know what? The Marine 3, you know, for a direct-to-DVD, WWE-made film, it was fine. I mean, it wasn't great by any means, but, you know, it wasn't boring to watch, and there were some fun action moments in it. And The Miz really impressed me. I don't care that much for him as a wrestler, but I thought he was charismatic and he was likable. He had a good action look to him.
Better than Cena.
Yeah, I mean, I know John Cena is he's been WWE's top guy for forever now, about 10 years now, but he's as far as acting goes, The Miz is a better actor than Cena.
Yes.
And yeah, so you know, the Marine 3 was fine for what it was. Marine 4, not quite as good. It's a step down. And for a few different reasons. I'll just go over some key things I want to say. Some things that I liked. The Miz was still good. Mm-hmm. There was really nothing about this movie, though, that you need to connect to the Marine 3. It just so happens to star
Miz is the only one that you see in this movie that was in Marine 3. You don't even see anyone else that was in...
Yeah, that's really the truth. But he's still good in it. He was likable. We talked about there were some moments in the movie where he's talking and he had some not very good dialogue to say, which is the writing. You know, that's the writing's fault, not his fault. Mm-hmm. But you could tell he was doing everything he could to take some of these some of these cheesy lines and actually make them sound somewhat genuine. Mm-hmm. And I give him credit for that. He was not, you know, sleepwalking through it. And so, yeah, he was still good. Summer Rae, again, I thought was decent. And I'll say this. The Marine 3 was good at this, too. The hand-to-hand combat scenes are fun. The scenes where they're you know, close quarters combat and knives and are involved and all that stuff, those scenes, while they're by no stretch of the imagination, you know, they're not realistic, they're fun. And they have some creative moments there. They're actually pretty well filmed, and both the Marine 3 and this one had some unique kills with the hand-to-hand scenes. Like the Marine 3, though, this movie does not have nearly enough of those scenes. This movie has more action than the Marine 3. It actually might have more action than the first Marine.
It has nothing but action.
Yeah. But the problem is that most of the action in this movie is not that entertaining. It's a lot of boring shoot 'em up scenes that go on for a long time. It's not well shot. It's, you know, a lot of you can tell it's low budget. I mean, and that's okay. It's okay to be low budget, but like when you have scenes that are trying to be action packed with all this shoot 'em up stuff, and you have, you know, trees that are getting shot at with CGI effects going into it, and just lots of little cheap CGI moments and just things like that. When it's constantly happening like that, it starts to get kind of boring. There was one, probably the worst action scene was this car chase, which I think is in the trailer for a second. It goes on forever and nothing happens. It's just them.
It's just the same shot over and over.
It's just them driving and they're shooting at each other and no one's hitting each other. Only at the end does something actually happen. You know,
it was
just
boring.
Again, not every action scene is like that. There are action scenes that are fun. There's a few shoot 'em up scenes that are kind of entertaining, but there's so many in this one that it just starts to get repetitious and and none of them really stick out. The only scenes that really stick out are the hand-to-hand scenes, which we really don't get very much of until the climax. Mm-hmm. With that said, the last 20 minutes of the movie is pretty fun. We finally get at the end the Miz versus Summer Rae scene, which went on way too short.
Yeah, that was very short.
For a movie that has really drawn out action scenes, the final moment that we were waiting for, Summer Rae versus Miz, it doesn't go on nearly long enough. With that said, it's an entertaining scene, and it's followed by him fighting some other people, and those were pretty entertaining moments. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't boring. It was still fun. But yeah, a lot of the other action scenes, they're not like cringeworthy, like I'm pulling hair out of my head bad. A lot of them were just kind of bland, and that just, I think, kind of hurt the film, or having that much extra action, I think, kind of hurt the movie. But with that said, what else do I want to point out? Oh, so the villains in this movie suck, with the exception of like Summer Rae and maybe one or two other guys. The villains in this movie suck, and they're just really bad, like, at being villains. Like, these villains are not intimidating. They're not really that much fun to watch.
They're not memorable.
The only one that's kind of memorable is Summer Rae, and that's mostly just because it's Summer Rae. It's really not because of her character by any means.
She didn't do anything that special.
No.
It was just, oh, hey, look, it's the diva.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, there are moments where it's kind of funny just how bad these villains are. It's funny how terrible they are at being villains.
It's funny in a way.
Unintentionally
funny.
You can kind of laugh at just like, wow, these villains suck. Like, Yeah. But, the First Marine, one of the things that I liked about the First Marine was how over-the-top Robert Patrick is as the villain in that movie. Like, you have the T-1000 from Terminator 2 just camping it up so much. And he's just having so much fun. You can tell he's having so much fun. And that makes it so much more fun. Mm-hmm. And this one, from an acting perspective, they were fine. I don't think there were any really bad actors in this film, besides maybe a couple. But
not really.
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly just poorly written characters, not bad acting. But the villains were just kind of forgettable. Mm-hmm. And that's a shame.
They were just bland.
That's a shame. There's really
bland or annoying.
Yeah, and the motivation behind these characters wasn't very good either. The villains in Marine 3, while they weren't that much better, I kind of liked how they weren't your typical villains, because they were like political extremists. Like, you don't see that often actually in this kind of movie, so I'll give it that. Yeah, they did something kind of different. But this, it is what it is. I'll give it this too. It doesn't just do the same thing that all the other Marine films did. This is not a girl gets kidnapped and buffed up.
It felt like it was going to turn into that for most of it.
Yeah, it actually isn't. Yeah, it's not like the plot to all the other ones where it's girl gets kidnapped and big buff former Marine goes out to save her. In fact, it's him just protecting her the whole film. But all in all, it's. If you liked the Marine 3, if you liked, I haven't seen the Marine 2, but if you like the Marine series, if you're into these movies, and if you like the WWE movies that they make, this is worth, I'd say it's not something I'd say, don't see it. I mean, if you enjoyed those movies, you'll probably find some things worth enjoying in this. Just keep in mind, I think it's a step down from Marine 3. I'd say Marine 3 was...
There were some parts that were enjoyable, but not enough to justify it for me. It was kind of boring.
Yeah. Marine 3 was not, while it's by no means like a high-quality movie, Marine 3 was never really boring. We were having fun with it. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of scenes in Marine 4 where we were kind of just sitting there, like just kind of, we were talking, we weren't really paying attention because we just weren't that invested. So
and then we'd overhear something and be like, "Wait, what?" Now we got to rewind it.
Yeah, that actually was one scene I did like. There was some funny dialogue in this movie, intentionally funny dialogue.
Yeah, thank God it was intentional.
One scene in the beginning where the two main characters, one of them being the Miz, the other one being the character that he's protecting.
What was her name again? Oh, we can't tell you because she wasn't that memorable.
Yeah. They both don't like each other in the beginning, and the banter they kind of have in the beginning is kind of funny. And I actually thought both actors did a pretty good job delivering the lines.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that, but yeah, I mean, so you wouldn't recommend Marine 4 to fans? Yeah, I'd say I would strictly only recommend this.
Really though, I mean, like, what are you expecting going into a movie called Marine 4? I mean, it's exactly what you expect going into a movie called Marine 4.
I mean, that's why I'm not upset or anything. Yeah. I didn't have that high expectations.
Yeah.
But I didn't have high expectations going into Marine 3, and I kind of liked Marine 3. So that's what I would say. You know, if you're a fan of the Marine films, I would say strictly as a fan of the Marine movies, sure, check it out. Don't spend too much money on this. Like, do not spend more than like a couple dollars. Like, wait for it to come out on Redbox or something. But if you're not a big fan of these movies and you're kind of curious, I would recommend Marine 3 and I would recommend the first Marine, but I'd say skip this one. So that's our review of the Marine 4, and thanks for watching.